Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, this week on the Roundtable, we are discussing the concept of political dynasties, and is this an outdated concept? If you recall, just before the recent elections, Rahul Gandhi said at a seminar, I think in Boston, that, well, this is the way India runs. But is it the way India runs? We saw the results. We saw the debate stirred by Prime Minister Modi, the Namdar versus Kamdar debate, and India voted, I think, for the Kamdar versus the Namdar. But not all of India. For you see, in the south, there are a lot of dynasties who did make a comeback, whether it was Stalin, whether it was Jagan. Those in the north, Akhilesh Yadav did not do so well, neither did Rahul's party himself. So is it a north versus south thing, or is it a global phenomena, or is it the cause of the things to come in Modi's new India? That is something we are going to be discussing on our panel today. Joining me is Shahid Siddiqui, he is editor-in-chief of Nai Dunya. Kaveri Bamzai, she is a political writer and columnist. Namita Bhandare, also a political writer and a columnist. And Kalyani Shankar, also a columnist and a senior journalist. Shahid, Saab, is it, I mean, am I right in saying it is a north versus south thing, or it is a generalized thing that Kamdar ka time aa gaya hai?
There is nothing like Kamdar or Namdar. The reality is that we are still in the feudal era of politics. We have not got out of it. And when you have that kind of feudal environment in society is still feudal. We may have democracy, but society is not still democratic. It is moving towards that. Second problem is that India is not a nation like France or Germany. It is a group of nationalities where for one single leader to emerge and to be acceptable to all parts of the country is not easy. And in such an environment, it's not just in India, it's Pakistan, it's Bangladesh, it's Sri Lanka, all over South Asia. Because of the feudal mindset, you have this dynastic politics. And I will not agree that dynastic politics is over or it has been defeated. I don't agree that this vote was against dynastic politics. This vote was against, of course, Congress and other leaders. This vote was basically for a single leader, that is Narendra Modi. At a point of time, when Indira Gandhi came, she did not emerge because she belonged to the dynasty. She emerged not in 67. 66, she was imposed. 67, she failed partially. And it was only in 1970, 71, she emerged as a very strong leader. India, because of its own situation, because of its past, because of the partition, it looks for a very strong, powerful single leader who can take the whole nation together with it. And that is the victory of Narendra Modi, not the defeat of dynastic politics. I am afraid that dynastic politics may make a comeback again, and it remains. In Congress it remains, in other parties also it will remain. The moment Modi ji becomes weak, dynasty politics will be back. That is my view.
Kaveri, your first thoughts on this?
I think it's, I quite agree with Mr. Siddiqui, but I think there are three aspects here. One is the succession. How does every party manage the succession? Party, business, whatever you want to call it. And I think those who manage to manage the succession battle well are the dynasties that survive. And it may not necessarily be people from within the dynasty. You saw with the Tatas, the empire. It was actually Ratan Tata who did not belong to JRD's immediate family. He was not his son. But they shared common interests and he was groomed to take over. So I think that, that succession battle has to be managed well. The second aspect is, I think, a matter of character. Why did the Kennedys not survive as a political dynasty? You had JFK, you had Bobby Kennedy, but then the question was of Teddy Kennedy, and I think everyone remembers the 1969 Mary Jo Kopechne incident, Chappaquiddick, and it was always a question mark on Teddy Kennedy. Can he possibly take over? And he was always the best president America never had. And I think the third aspect is of perception, and I think that is also very significant. How does a dynasty, a family manage that perception battle? Look at the House of Windsor. Look at Queen Elizabeth. In a way, she's like Sonia Gandhi, she never retires. But that perception battle which she managed so beautifully when Princess Diana really challenged that family, and she almost brought monarchy to its knees, because she was able to step back and she managed the funeral and she managed the death so beautifully that the dynasty could survive and the dynasty could carry forward. So I think these are the three aspects, and if a dynasty, a family manages these three well, it has a chance of survival, even in modern India, in the modern universe.
In the age of Modi.
In the age of Modi, in the age of Trump, you have a dynasty cropping up in America as well. So, we are not alone.
So, Namita, your first take on this. According to Kaveri, dynasty is not yet over. Final word is still to be said.
Well, I agree with Kaveri, and I'm not sure I agree with the premise of this debate that dynasty is going through some kind of a downturn, or is, I think, dynasty is very much a generalized phenomena with what, from what began as the purview of one family is now spread across parties, across regions, across states. And, there's a study by a group of researchers at Harvard University that demonstrates how since 1999, the Congress party has sent 36 dynasts to the Lok Sabha, but the BJP is not far behind because they've sent 31.
31.
So, Namdar versus Kamdar, what does that even mean? Because there are Namdars across and there are Namdars across parties. And in fact, I would say, if you look at some of the candidates who stood for the last election, I mean, earlier dynasty meant it went from father to son. And if there was no son, then it went to the daughter. Now it is father, the patriarch, his brothers, his son, his daughter-in-law, the wives,
not to forget
so it's sometimes Mulayam Singh, 4 people from the same family, Ramvilas Paswan, 2 younger brothers.
20 of them.
Yeah, so it is no longer limited to one, and I think this is extremely worrying because yes, in a democratic system, anybody should be allowed to contest the elections, but I agree with Shahid Siddiqui Sahab that this is extremely feudal and backward. This smacks of patronage, this promotes crony capitalism, and this is the worst form of, it doesn't give voters a choice. Most important in a democracy, in a liberal democracy, voters are supposed to have a choice. You're choosing, when the dynasty is standing and friendly opposition parties don't put up serious candidates.
Yeah.
Who are you voting for?
Even the, let me add here, even the voters I have seen, because I have also been in politics, I have seen that people prefer a dynasty to a much better. They say, आदमी बहुत अच्छा है, काम करेगा, लेकिन ये तो उनका बेटा है, इसको तो देना है. So people that when I mentioned the feudal mindset, that feudal mindset remains, and people vote for dynasty in comparison to a much better candidate, even when the good candidate is there. Even when the good candidate is there, I have seen it time and again.
But
Even
Amethi
when
is a
there's a
good
choice.
rebuttal for that. Your first take.
See, I agree partly with whatever has been said so far. And dynasty is not only in India. You look at Asia, South Asia particularly. You look at the world and Indonesia. There are so many other countries which still go for dynasty. That's because mostly they are recognizable. They have a brand name. People know who the candidate is. Supposing you put up somebody else who is not known, then they have one disadvantage. There are many other disadvantages also. So in India, this dynastic thing is part of the South Asia character. You see what happens in Bangladesh or in Sri Lanka. In fact, Sri Lanka started the first thing, I would say, Bandaranaike and Chandrika. So that way, I think it's part of that. In the case of Pranab Mukherjee, always used to tell us that after the 4th generation of leader, dynasty it doesn't succeed. So maybe that's what. Seriously, I'm telling you. So that is where probably this time it is not.
Congress has hit the 4th.
So it's not succeeding. And dynasty, I don't believe that it's ever going to go. In fact, on the contrary, it is on the increase now in many, instead of 1 or 2 big dynasties, now there are many dynasties, regional, and then caste-wise, and so many other characteristics have come into this dynastic politics. And although Modi has been saying Namdar versus Kamdar, I don't think people voted for Kamdar or the Namdar. They just voted according to their belief. So that is how even Congress, though they did not get seats, they got about 12.6 crore votes. If you go by the voting percentage, and if we had the representative system, then they would have got more seats. And because of our present system, they didn't get it. So I believe that the caste, it's called, there is one Professor Kanchan Chandra from New York University. I think most of you might have read her thing. She has done a book that she calls it the democratic dynasties. So the dynasties, not the royal dynasties, they've come through the democracy. None of these people just can be anointed. They have to come through election, and they have to win the confidence of the people. So that is another thing of the new dynastic character in this country, and it may go on.
Yes, yes, but I don't know if I agree. I think democratic and dynasty are two opposite ends. It's an oxymoron to talk about democratic dynasties, because I think they are just two opposite factors, and there is a growing body of empirical evidence that shows that constituencies that are led by dynasts actually perform less well than constituencies that are not led by.
She has disproved that point. She has disproved this point.
I will say, for example, I'm talking about generalized.
No,
one minute, sorry, I just want to complete my point. So, for instance, the Philippines, where 60% of representatives actually belong to political clans, there is evidence that shows, there are studies that show that the constituencies led by the 60% actually perform much poorer. They are poorer. There is more income inequality in those constituencies than there are by those. The same in Brazil. In India, there is a study, for instance, that shows that constituencies led by dynasts grew at 6.5% lower than constituencies led by non-dynasts. So, this business about performing dynasts, I'm not sure that it's true. There are honorable exceptions. I'm not saying every dynast is a useless person, because they do have to face the test of election.
Okay.
We can't have a hard and fast rule for all dynasts. There are dynasties and dynasties. It all depends who follows what. I mean, what she mentioned, Parnabda, Imam Ghazali had written long time back that the first one who establishes the empire goes through the struggle, his son establishes it, expands it, his grandson maintains it and tries to maintain it, but starts losing it. But the fourth generation, as it comes to, starts disintegrating.
It's like a property.
Yes,
it's like a property.
Yes,
that doesn't describe their democracy.
Same with happened with the royal dynasties, Mughals and others. Same here. But that doesn't mean that dynasties are going. Old dynasties are crumbling, new are emerging, new will emerge. One point. Second point I would like to make, as a political analyst, not just as a journalist, is that the way nations evolved in Europe were with the royal families and the kings, and they assembled around a king, around an emperor. And that's where, even now, England, they say that we sleep, happily if the Queen is there in the Buckingham Palace or whatever palace she is. But so these are whether it's Philippines or it's India or it's other places where you don't have this royal family as in Thailand. You people look for a kind of a semi-emperor. That urge is there for the nation. They feel safe if they have a strong leader at the top. I mean, I'm not supporting it, but as an analyst, I'm saying that is the mindset which works which looks for a very strong, powerful leader. That leader may be very weak, but if he shows himself to be powerful, then people come to him at a point of time, and that's happening in most of these people. But gradually, these dynasties will wither away. They will gradually wither away, and more democratization of the society. So what you really need is democratization of the society, which I think is happening even in India with urbanization of these countries, nations. We are having that kind of society.
With the voters more aware. Kaveri.
No, I agree, and I think the point is, again, I want to come back to the whole idea of succession management, and I think it may not necessarily remain in the family. For instance, when you look at the BJP now, you have a completely different BJP from the Advani-Vajpayee BJP, but even there was an understanding, if it was not Advani, it would be Vajpayee. Are we in a situation now where we can see the way forward and say, if it's not Modi, it will be Amit Shah? So I think it's always an arrangement. The way succession is managed, it may not necessarily be within the family, but it could be within the brotherhood, it could be within the larger community.
I like the brotherhood phrase.
So I think it'll be interesting to see how the BJP, which prides itself on being a very disciplined, cadre-based party, it'll be very interesting to see how that evolves, because as Namita pointed out, you had 31 MPs who come from families, established families. So how they handle this advantage of birth, the geography of birth, that will be very interesting.
Well, I just want
Geography
to
of
make
a
one
quickly,
point.
then we'll go for a
But
break.
what you were saying, how they manage it. Take MGR. He never anointed Jayalalitha as his successor. She just fought her way and came.
Exactly.
Take NTR. He used to say, after me the deluge. And he never anointed Chandrababu as his successor. Still he came. So like that, there are some dynasties who have come on their own, although the leader did not anoint them. Even in the case of Balasaheb Thackeray, and he sort of left it loosely. So Uddhav came and he proved himself. The point is that whoever takes over should be able to prove his credentials and also to become worthy of the confidence of the people.
It's the
Otherwise-
Aurangzeb Dara Shikoh
exactly.
debate.
Yeah, but they're both sons of the same
Exactly,
emperor.
but they had to, but there was a struggle,
But how does all this apply to the Congress, where we've seen the succession take place? Has he proved himself or not? And they're back to Sonia Gandhi. That is something we're going to discuss after a short break. Hello and welcome back to the Roundtable. We are discussing the concept of dynasties, mainly political dynasties, and is that an outdated concept or not? My Roundtable doesn't seem to think so. Namita?
Yeah, I just struck me just when Shahid Saab was speaking about how people prefer the established brand name. I think this election also, 2019, and here I'm going to come to my favorite topic, which is women in politics. And you look at the way people have overwhelmingly chosen women who have no background. There's a Dalit lady from Kerala, Ramya. There is Pramila Bisoya, who's come up from the grassroots level in Orissa. I mean, these are just the names that are just off the top. There's Queen Oja, former mayor of Guwahati. Just come up through sheer hard work. So given a choice and given a chance, if political parties were to look a little bit beyond their own family lineage, I think people want new faces. They want fresh ideas. I disagree that they don't want the same tired business as usual. The second point which I wanted to make is that, when we talk about the Gandhi family dynasty, we tend to look at one part of the family, but there's also Menaka Gandhi and there's also Varun Gandhi, and they are also the Gandhi family, and they are very much within the BJP fold. And somehow, when the BJP talks about Sonia and Rahul, they never talk about the other Gandhis, but they're also Gandhis.
But that's why I think they're sidelining them, because they've co-opted them, but they don't really want to give them much preference.
but we can't ignore them.
Yeah.
Especially not Varun.
I mean, they're still fighting elections.
Exactly, and
And
winning.
winning, barely,
And
one of
winning.
them barely, but still.
They want to sideline them, but they are unable to do it because of the strength of dynasty.
Oh, that's
That
a
is
good
the
point.
One almost lost, the mother.
But you were wanting to make a very interesting point about how the concept of dynasty in the Congress was not something that Nehru wanted. In fact, Nayanthara Sehgal also was speaking to me in an interview once, and she said the same thing. This is not what my brother wanted, and she blames Indira Gandhi for the dynasty.
You see, I had done research. I did 2 books, one on Nixon, one on Lyndon Johnson. Both the books I had access to all the top level correspondence between the president and then our leaders here. They had CIA things, all that. So in all that it comes out that Nehru certainly did not want Indira Gandhi to succeed, or he could have told his cronies that after me just choose her. And when he died in June 64, I think they did not look at Indira Gandhi at all. They just chose Shastri, who was a very low profile. And he managed to run the show. Although Indira Gandhi didn't have good relations with Shastri, but he managed to run the show. On the same way, Indira Gandhi wanted Sanjay Gandhi, not Rajiv Gandhi, to succeed her. Unfortunately, Sanjay died and then she had to depend on Rajiv Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi did not promote his wife Sonia Gandhi at any point of time during his life. And so therefore, the Nehru Gandhi family, I don't believe that they have promoted. In the case of Sonia, it's a different thing. She wanted her son, not even her daughter, to take over. Even today, I believe that she's still hoping that Rahul will take over someday or the other. So that she has an Italian, tender for the son.
Or the mother. Indian.
No, it's Italian also. So that is why, there's a different pattern here. So that's why I don't agree with the thing.
I agree with her, and you see, it is just not that there was a plan in the Gandhi family to promote the family. These two major, in fact, three accidents in a way: the death of Indira Gandhi, the death of Sanjay Gandhi, accidental death of Sanjay Gandhi, and the death of Rajiv Gandhi has pushed these people into politics. Indira Gandhi was not very keen. In fact, I have read some letters which she had written to some friends
Dorothy.
Dorothy. She had written that I want to settle down in England.
She was planning to write a book there.
She had looked for a house where she will be staying and renting out few rooms to the students and running her family by renting these rooms to the. So all that she had planned. Even when she was Prime Minister. This happened
after
when
she wanted to go there.
She didn't want to remain there. So she was pushed into the situation, but the feeling of the Gandhi family has always been that we have a responsibility. We have a great responsibility to carry Congress and to unite the country. Rightly or wrongly, they have believed that, and Sonia Gandhi was so resistant. I was eyewitness, I was involved at that very point. I was one of the very few who went to her and requested her to take over. The Congress Working Committee had passed this resolution after Rajiv's death for her to take over as the Congress president. And
not once, twice she did. Once she resigned
but
and then
she refused, totally she refused. And every time when Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, a dozen times I went to her and told her that you must take over, and she used to get very angry. She said, why should I won't. So she was very resisting all through. It was only after the defeat in 1998 that all these leaders, including Sharad Pawar, who had opposed her, went to her with folded hands and virtually cried that please do that. And she then took over as the Congress president. That Congress will be destroyed, you will be responsible. It is your responsibility to your husband, to everybody and to this country that you have adopted, that she took over.
But what is interesting,
I think it's not correct to blame the family and say that they have been pushing their own family all through. Yes, she wants Rahul Gandhi, and that's where she fails, because she wants it. When you want it, you don't get it. When you allow things to happen, they do happen.
See, when the woman who checked the erosion in the party in 98, she's presiding over a party which is now having more erosion than 98.
Yes. And the Congress is still requesting her.
She's allowed the mother in her to take over the politician in her, and she's a very shrewd politician. I mean, she ran a coalition government virtually with Manmohan Singh for 10 years in a country as fractious as India, and to understand the competing egos of the coalition leaders, she managed to handle that beautifully.
Lalus and Mulayams and Mayawati's all.
I mean,
even Pawar at the end of the day.
And to a certain extent, the left through Surjit for a while. I think in her case, it's really the mother in her who's overshadowed everything else, unfortunately, and that is actually the biggest problem.
One argument I often hear when I speak to congressmen and women on why are you so obsessed with a Gandhi name leading the party, and they tell me you don't understand, the party will split if it's not only a Gandhi can keep the family keep the party together. But my point is, after all these years, if the party splits, so be it. Exactly. Deal with it.
The problem is not
deal with it and get on.
It will fragment.
That's okay.
It will fragment.
It is better than being what it is today, where it is like a weak and effete opposition. It presents no opposition to the BJP.
Congress fails with Gandhi. Congress will fail without Gandhi, and therefore let it fail without Gandhi, and let it be
with a split Congress.
I was told.
So let there be all the bloodshedding. Let it be the bloodshedding, and so that at least for the next election, maybe you have 2 Congresses, 3 Congresses, maybe the next election, you have a credible opposition at some point. Today you have no opposition.
I don't agree with this, because that's because if Congress, why they're looking to the family. I don't want you. You don't want her. She doesn't want him. and he doesn't want me. So all of us agree on the family name.
The default
so that is the
character,
one
yeah.
reason why the family has been surviving. And the party splitting, I don't know, see, new charismatic leaders have set up the party, like Mayawati or Naveen Patnaik or any of these people. They are personality
Regional
cult
party.
in the Indian democracy, you see. That's the cult figures they have become. In Congress, I don't see any one person in the present generation who was a cult figure.
In the whole opposition, there is not a single
Kalyani.
cult figure now.
In
Whole
the-
opposition, there is not a single cult
what
figure.
about-
They are all flipped up. They have the flipped
Indira
up.
Gandhi को क्या कहते थे? गूंगी गुड़िया.
Right, but right
so,
now
but
there
she
is
became
nobody.
a great
But they
leader.
were-
Yeah,
was
and
whole-
You know, so
I am
But
not
look at
saying-
Narasimha Rao. We had the best prime minister from someone who
You see,
the least
Congress has
respected.
already been split into Congress, even Trinamool Congress, Congress, yes, used to be
NCP.
Pawar, and so many other
Jagan.
things. They have. If they all come together, you know, the Congress would be strengthened.
But
Now,
who's that
supposing
one
they-
person to unite all of them together?
So maybe you need
No,
to
no,
have
they
2,
should
3
call back all the
factions.
people who left the Congress and bring them back.
But
and the
each one
Congress
will
can
want to be
become-
a leader,
Yeah, that's
no.
all right. They can have a rotation
No,
like
if
this.
the-
Truly be a democratic
Rotation
dynasty.
politics.
Then we'll have
They
it.
tried
Yeah.
new rotation in UP.
If the
between
dynasty
MP
says that,
and
look,
DSP.
we will work as simple, ordinary workers of the party, will serve the party, will
But
do
that
everything,
never
but
happens.
let there be someone else
No, they
to
were
decide.
talking-
That's what
Rahul tried.
Rahul
Rahul
is trying to
tried,
do,
but it doesn't
but
work.
party is not
See,
accepting.
Jagan
He
Mohan
has
Reddy can
survived
come
a
back,
split in the
TRS
past,
can
it
come
will
back,
survive.
NCP
Those were
can
the
come
splits.
back.
Now this will be
Mamta can
shattering.
come
This will
back.
not be
faith in it
fragmentation.
totally
That
out of
was the
time.
split.
Party has a lot of talent. Have faith in that talent. Let that
But
new
party has
talent
no
emerge.
ideology, ma'am.
You have the son
Now,
who's saying, I
party
don't want to
without
lead the
ideology-
party.
Party without ideology cannot
No,
survive.
no,
If the
party has an
without
ideology. There I
No,
disagree.
there is
They have
no
few
ideology
principles. They
there.
have
I
few
think this
principles,
is
but
a
no
debate
ideology.
that's going to
Party
take
has
longer
no
than the
idea.
time
Party has a
allotted to
vision
us.
for India.
Okay,
Yeah.
but as I said, this is a debate that's going to take a whole lot longer and a problem that is grappling for a very long time within the Congress and outside, because we do need a strong opposition at the end of the day. But that's it from us. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.